onslaught. Women and children did their part by casting bullets and preparing bandages. The First Battle of New Ulm was but a prelude to the more significant fighting that would follow 4 days later. In mid-morning of Saturday, August 23rd, about 650 Dakota Braves under Chiefs Wabasha, Mankato, Little Crow, Lean Bear, and Big Eagle surged out of the woods to the west and formed a long curved line on the bluffs overlooking the town and its outnumbered defenders. Charles Flandreau later described the scene. Their advance upon the sloping prairie in the bright sunlight was a very fine spectacle, and to such inexperienced soldiers as we all were, intensely exciting. When within about 1.5 miles of us, the mass began to expand like a fan, an increase in the velocity of its approach, and continued this movement until within about double rifle shot, when it had covered our entire front. Then the savages uttered a terrific yell and came down upon us like the wind. The Indian charge caused some measure of panic in the defenders, but they soon rallied to defend their lines. The firing intensified as the morning wore on. The Indians surrounded the town and focused their attack along the river, upwind of the defenders. The battle peaked in mid-afternoon when the Indian warriors charged the barricades. The defenders of New Ulm were up to the challenge. They held their lines, fired a volley into the Indian ranks, and then, yelling a war cry of their own, launched a counterattack into the mass of Indians. The charge broke the Sioux ranks and routed them. Although fighting continued until the next morning, the crisis had passed. The men who fought to save New Ulm did not seek fame or glory. They were just trying to protect their homes and families. The intensity of the fighting showed the valor of both the Dakota warriors and New Ulm's defenders. This was no small skirmish in the long history of the Indian Wars. 34 defenders gave their lives to protect New Ulm, while another 60 were wounded, many of them saved by Dr. Charles Mayo and 4 other physicians who established 2 aid stations in the buildings behind the barricades. More than 180 buildings were destroyed in the battles or in the scorched earth tactics employed to prevent the Indians from using the structures for cover. But buildings could be rebuilt. The more important statistic is the 2,000 citizens who were saved from an uncertain and most likely tragic fate. With heavy hearts, they now trudged in a melancholy procession east to Mankato to await the end of the war. Had New Ulm fallen to the Dakota assault, the entire Minnesota River Valley as far as St. Paul would have been open to further Indian depredations. But the guardians of freedom's frontier, the defenders of New Ulm, saved southern Minnesota from further devastation. The battles at New Ulm, along with the defense of Fort Ridgely, decided the outcome of the Dakota War.
Thank you, Dr. Mansoor. And I guess